All right, guys. So we are in the SQL session 6. So we are going to start with the select statement. We'll start with a very simple query first, try to understand the basics, then we'll move on to the next level, and then we'll reach to such a level where will be comfortable of writing the SQL query in whatever the fashion we need. For this example, I would be taking a very small table so that you can quickly understand the logic, whatever the conditions I'm applying. It will be easy to validate. If I take 1 million rows, may not be easy for us to validate. So I'm taking 5 rows of data or 10 rows of a data or 15 rows of a data. So in the real world, it applies the same. If you have 1 million also same, 5 rows also same. So let's start with a simple SQL command now. Let me put the comments also. So first I need a database here. Let's start a separate database, create database, SQL query as my first database. I created it. The database is already there. So let me use SQL query as my primary database. Now, when you see here from master to SQL query, it will change. Okay, it is changed. So that means my database is created. So let me start with the select query first. How to retrieve data, okay, at once. So that is the first basic query anybody would like to start in SQL, irrespective of any relational database management system. So here, let's not spend more time on creating a table or inserting the data, which is time consuming. Let's try to quickly upload the data into a database, whether it's a 5 rows or 10 rows, whatever the case might be. So let me go quickly and check. There is some participation list. We have something called a participation list here. Then we have 5 rows of a data. Then we have group data. Okay, so what we can do is now, I'll go to my SQL Server management. Now, as you know, we need to just click on that particular database. Okay, and as we are interested for the tables, then go for SQL query, and here something we have called task. Under the task, you need to decide whether you are importing or exporting. Okay, exporting is something like where you are interested to download the data from the SQL. Generally, we don't do it because it's very easy to copy the data from the output window. But however, we have an option here to download the entire stuff into the Excel or CSV, whatever the format you are looking for. Just click on the import data. Now, once you import the data, it's asking you from where you want to get the data. Okay, we have already seen it is Microsoft Excel. Let me select that. Now it's asking what is the path, where is the path, where is the file sitting? Okay, it's sitting on my desktop or the shared drive or shared map. Anything will do. Just say open, then say next. Now, if you look at the first screen itself, first I've selected the which format, which data source I'm trying to connect. We have other formats also, okay, where you can connect to Oracle or you can connect to MS Access, where already the database is existing, which you want to move to your SQL, which we'll try to see eventually in the later upcoming session. But it's a very simple now trying to connect to the Excel to get the data. And this is very important, like we need to select this option. First row has a column names. Yes, my data is having a column, so I need to check that. If you don't have a column, so you need to uncheck it so that you can create later. But my data is very pretty straightforward. It has a two-dimensional data, that is rows and the columns. So let me click on the next. The moment I click on the next, it's already identified, like from Excel, you want to go for a SQL, right? This is your simply a server name, doesn't need to change. If you have any authentication, you can provide, or else that's it. Here, still you can change your mind if you want to go for any other database to create these tables. But if you're interested to create the table in the new database, what you created, just place it. Sometimes if you're not able to find your database, you can still click on the refresh to get your database. Once this is done, I'm clicking on the next. As I told you, we have two options here. We have two options, that is copy the data from the tables, or you can write your own query. Okay, we'll see in the next upcoming sessions how to write a query in order to get the data transfer. As I told you, there is a millions of data which is lying in our organizations. But do you really want the entire data to be go and sit in the SQL? No, not really. Maybe you want to only transfer as a separate table of finance data. So you can write a specific data like I am looking for only finance data. Maybe the file is consists of all the departments. You are not interested. You want to get only male employees information as a separate table, female employee as a separate table. Maybe based on their level, assistant manager, manager, whatever. You based on their designation, probably you want to divide a table. So you can write the query whatever you want. You need to click on this and write the query. So I'm still with the first option. I'm not going for the second one. Click on the next. The good part is whenever you talk about Excel, Excel is having a different sheets, right? So let me go to my Excel, how the Excel looks like and what kind of data I have. It's a very simple data. Now, if you open the Excel, okay, it's saying read only. But the question is, who has opened it? It's a single user system, and nobody has opened this file so far. And when I'm trying to open, it is saying read only. That means now your SQL is in the process of picking up this file. So obviously, you'll get a read only. It's as good as in the shared drive when you're trying to access any Excel file at the same time somebody is also trying to access, you'll get a read-only option. The same way here the other person is SQL is trying to pick up the file. I'm also trying to open. So two people when we're trying to two things when we're trying to open the application, we'll get a read-only. So here I have a simple data here, student ID. We have a name, we have an age, and the city. Okay. So this is a simple data. If you see, there are three tabs actually. One is list, one is select data, one group data. Now please close the Excel file when you are uploading. It's not ideally, we are supposed to open Excel file while you are loading. All right, so we have a three data here. We have a select data, we have a list sheet, we have a group data. So it's your choice which sheet you want to pick up. So let me click on the select data. Still have a scope where I can change my database name. So let's say always try to prefix the DBO, which is stands for database object dot, then give the name. Let's say student data. Okay, that's it. That's how you are going to provide the table name. You can also go with the default name what SQL is suggesting you, or else you can later also we can rename with a graphical interface. But this all ideal scenario, we need to always change here so that you can get the exact data table what you're looking for. So out of three sheets, because for the Excel database, it's nothing but each sheet is a separate table, right? So it is asking you from the three sheets, which sheet you are interested. Tomorrow, 100 sheets. So you can be very particular which sheet you are looking for. If you're looking for all the three sheets, you can select all three and create a separate three tables at once. That's it. When you get the next screen, it's asking you, do you want to run this immediately? Yes, of course. So it is trying to show you where it is going to save and everything. Okay, the file path and the source and what is the server it's accessing. Once you say finish, it is trying to do a lot of pre-checks before it uploads. Being it's a FIROS, it's not taken much time. You can see errors are 0, warnings are 0, total is 11, success something, and you can also get the report how it is been uploaded. Once you say close, ideally I should be able to see my table now. Let me check my luck if my system is refreshing. Hopefully, yes. So that means my student table is now ready with all those 5 rows what you have seen in the Excel. So let me see. Okay, this is my database name, and that is my table name. Let me put it here so that I can keep copying. First, you want to get all the records from the table, right? That is your first basic query. Why we are trying to learn even the basic query? Because we want to see how the construction which you can see very clearly. From that you can follow the same structure till the end of this session so that we can start writing the multiple queries. So please do remember, while writing a SQL query, it is very important to understand the order of execution. What do you mean by execution here? Yes, when you say something called select star from employee or student, whatever, select star from, okay, not star, let's say from, and what is my database name? You can use SQL query, okay, as a database name prefix dot DBO dot your table name. So why you're trying to provide the database name? Already you're used at the top, right? You're already telling the SQL, this is a database in which I want to do all the operations. You can also use the database prefix. Then in that case, there is no need to use this line, but it's always advisable to use at the top so that it can be applicable for the entire query window. right? So if you use this SQL query DBO, this is pertaining to this query. So it's completely a choice, but I always advise go for the first line, which is really beautiful. Just point it out only once, tell the SQL, this is my database. So rest of the operations, everything will be done in the same database. Now I'm selling select star from the table. So what is my table here? Simply I can use the complete DB object. It doesn't matter because by default it's an object. So this is my simple query. The way you are saying, I want to select something from where? From that supermarket, right? So here you are saying from that student table, I want to get the data. Now, are we very clear with the query? Why? Because while writing a SQL query, it is very, very important to understand the order of execution, okay, so that the query can get you the accurate results. Okay, all right. Before talking about order of execution, the SQL query, let's have the complete picture. What are the skeleton of SQL? Okay, the way we write the SQL statement. Of course, the way you look at this first line of code, what I've written, a query written, select a from student. Okay, good. We'll try to break it down into pieces to understand the complete terminology and behind the scenes, what is the concept, how it actually runs, who is giving the instruction, who is taking, and how it is able to understand my question. Okay, so for that, I need to start with, let me put all here. I'll put all the select clauses here. The first one we've been talking about right from the first session, that is a select command. And the next one comes here. The next one comes here, that is top. Next comes here from. Next is where. Then we'll use group by, having, order by. Don't worry if you're not understanding what it means. I'm just referring to the classes which you can use in order to make your SQL query complicated queries you can write easily by understanding the order of execution. Okay, order of execution is nothing but what are the steps being taken by relational database management system. I'm not talking about SQL Server here. Order of execution of any statement, SQL statement in any relational database, how it does. Whether it will first see the select query, whether it will look at the top, whether it will look for the from, whether it look for the where, whether it will look for a group by, how the order is going to be, because this is a very, very important question. One of the question would be like they will try to jumble all these clauses into different ways, and they will try to ask you to put it in the order it is executed by the SQL Server engine or tomorrow Oracle engine, whatever. I'll try to make it very simple. Now, this is the whole skeleton what you see, but honestly, I'm missing some more clauses also here because I don't know how to join the tables at this moment. So I'm completely ignoring joins for now. I'm just taking the skeleton as is. By using all these keywords, we can let SQL understand, okay, your SQL Server can understand what sort of data we are looking for, and this can be considered as simply a communication between you and your SQL Server. Okay, we are just trying to put all these keywords and trying to communicate with your SQL Server because you are giving the instructions to the computer, to your interface in order to get the right result. For example, let's take a simple example. If you ask a question to any other person, and only if other person understand your question clearly, then only you can give the right answer, right? Generally, this is what happens. If I ask you a right question, you'll give the answer which is a valid one. Let's say if you ask a question like, name is yours what? This is a completely different statement what I use. Name is yours what? Do you think the other person understand your question? Definitely big no, right? So that means the question should be something like you need to reframe your sentence. Instead of saying, name is yours what? You would have said, what is your name? Okay, this is a proper question which is I'm asking you. So obviously you are going to give me an answer. Name is yours what? It is an improper query which I'm trying to ask my friend. Okay, even in the SQL or any programming language, if you're not rephrasing your words in a proper way, you cannot communicate with the computer. Okay, so that means you need to, so if you reframe the words and ask the same question to the same person, definitely he will understand your question and he can give you the accurate answer that justifies of you asking a question and getting the result. Okay, that is also how the business looks, right? You need to always understand the business statement and write the query accordingly. Again, asking the right question, right? So these are the clauses what you have seen: select, top, from, where, group by, having, order by. I'm still not understanding what is this skeleton is all about. Okay, let's try to break it down slowly, and we'll try to get into more complex query. So if you understand the first query, which is a very simple one, we'll little bit slowly move to the second level of writing. So before we do anything for the query, it is important to understand the query syntax must be correct, right? So that means the way I said, like, your name is what? So when you're trying to write something, the main job of any system, okay, any programming language you talk about, or the relational database management systems query language, when I'm writing something, if you misspelled, okay, if you have given something which is not existing, obviously it is not going to give the result. There is a chances where you have written everything correct, even along with the spellings, but the problem is you may not have the right access to use it. So sometimes you may also get the permission denied. Why? Because you are in the same process, same department, you are using one kind of a database, but you may not have that visibility of all those tables which are in your department. So that means the very first one, whenever I write, who is checking this? Your SQL server is trying to check, is there any errors in terms of any spelling mistakes? Okay. And first, after that, the second important thing, what the SQL server or any engine will notice, is this object what this guy is looking for? Okay, database object, table object, database, any object. Does this guy have that kind of access where he can view the table or database? So these are the two things which any server engine will try to check before you actually write the query. Okay. So that's how it checks. So if something is not really working, like my spelling is wrong or my database is not existing, still I'm trying to query it. So obviously the query execution will be terminated. Okay, it's nothing but as good as you'll get an error and it will stop. So as I said, all the queries in the SQL Server process the same logic. Okay, the same logic. What I said, select top, from, where, what. These structure, what you see on the screen, we'll try to pick up one by one, and so that anytime, even if it is jumbled, you can simply order it in a proper way. That it would be the interview question or your Microsoft SQL examination pattern. Okay, so the very first one, as I said, like, it is going to check what are the rules it will follow, basically, any relational database management system. First, it will try to, this is not related to classes. I'm just trying to show you what exactly SQL will do the moment you write any query. I've just written a simple query, but I'm trying to go at a granular level, understanding what it does actually. I know select from student, it will get the data. That's everybody knows. We've been writing from since long time, and million people have already written this query. So what's new here? I want to understand the logic behind this line when I'm writing, how my system is understanding me and giving the result. Okay, the very first one, what it does is it will try to parse your statement. Okay, it is going to check parsing is nothing but, okay, parsing is nothing but the entire statement what you have written. Select star from our table. Okay, select some few columns from the table, whatever you've written. It will try to broken into a small individual words. Then it will check for the syntax errors are there or not. Okay, if it is syntax errors, you can see straight away from is showing an syntax error. Student is also showing a syntax error, though they are the right spelling is correct, the database table name is also correct, but still the statement is somewhat incomplete. That's why it's trying to show some error, right? So this is what about your passing. Passing is nothing but the entire statement, select from student, where, whatever conditions you are applying later on, all this broken into individual words, trying to understand what are they, does they have any spelling mistakes. Okay, all these things will be first checked by your SQL Server engine. That is called as a parsing. Okay, internally this is what happens. So the second thing is, what exactly happens after the parsing is completed? That means everything is fine. Let's assume the spelling is correct. My database is also, my table is also existing. Then what will happen? So it will check the validation. Now you can ask me a question, what does it mean? Parsing, already it is validating, right? It's checking the spelling, it's checking whether the database is there or not. In the validate, it will always ensure that the name of the object Okay, student, for example, the name of the object is student here, right? It will always try to check whether we have right permissions. Okay, it's basically try to check permissions here. Okay, it's here we are trying to check any mistakes in the statement. Guys, this could be interview questions. How the SQL server treats. Okay, when you written, you said enter, you got the answer, you are happy. But what happens in the behind the scenes? Yes, the first one is parsing mistakes in the statement, checking the mistakes. Validation. It's going to check is does this guy is really having the valid permissions to access. As I said, like there will be a lot of limitations you are going to find in the real environment. Though you're in the working in the same process, you may not have the visibility of some customer information which has a very detailed information, social security number, its balances, credit balances, debit balance, whatever it is, something which is confidential, where you are not supposed to see, there will be a certain condition. So that's how it is going to check the validation part. Then the next important, the fourth structure, what I'm talking about, passing validation, then it's going to check how to optimize it. Okay, optimizing is nothing but how quickly, okay, optimize is nothing but how quickly running the query. So SQL always try to search the best option to run this query quickly and give the output. Okay, it's always try to optimize the query. The way you're written select star from the table, it will try to find what is the best way to run this query in order to get the results very fast, because it is not a one person who's working on the SQL. There are hundreds of people. There are thousands of people who are working. So SQL or server is always busy. So though it is busy, it will always try to do all these things: parsing, validation, optimize. In the optimize, it will try to find the best way to run your query. That is. Now let's see what is the fourth one, which is again important. That is compile or compiling. Mostly you might have heard in programming languages, it is a compiled programming language. Okay, compiling is nothing but after checking the mistakes, after checking the permissions, after checking what is the best way of running this query. This is nothing but the plan of action what SQL is doing behind the scenes. For you, it's nothing. You are just writing the select start from table and you are getting the output. But behind the scenes, these are the four things which happens. Compiling is nothing but, as I said, my computer doesn't know my English language. It doesn't know any language for that matter, right? So what it does is select star from table. It knows, of course, it's a SQL query. So it will convert into a binary format. So again, what is this binary language? Binary format. Binary is nothing but 0 and 1. As I said, the programming can also be done by using 0 and 1. But we hardly understand. Of course, it's doable, but takes longer time to make system understand what I want. So I know English. This select star from table I can easily understand. So that's why I'm using some programming or query language to access my computer to get the output. So compile, it will simply try to compile is nothing but simply it is trying to check the execution plan. So what is the best plan to execute it by converting your SQL query into a binary format? Please do remember binary format is nothing but 0 and 1 computer language. Our language is English language. Okay, somebody's Germany language, but we have a different languages, but computer has only one language, that is programming language. So between you and a computer, programming language is playing a very important role. Here, for me, it is a query language, being it's a relational database management system. So these are the four things which will try to go beyond scenes whenever you are running this simple statement called select from student. All right. So let's try to observe this query carefully. Okay, we understood what happens behind the scenes. Now we are in a position. If somebody asks, like, what is select star from table? You can give a lot of knowledge before what happens. It's not just giving students data, you'll get an output window. No, that is not the language what I want to learn. What I want to learn is if somebody says select star from table, what result it will give you. You can simply answer it. It will give the entire data set from your table. But at the same time, before that, what happens is it will parse it. Okay, it'll do the validation, it will do the optimize, it will also compile. Then only you are going to see the output. So the way I'm writing the query, the way I'm getting the output. Between these two, there is something which is working, your SQL server, that is these four things are going to be done. Now let's try to observe this query. Executing order, it first looks into what? Okay, I used a select keyword being in the first place. I'm using here star for now. I'll make you understand why we are using a star here. Okay, now you can see yeah. So select star from students. So what we are trying to say is, I want this table called student from, I want all, asterisk stands for here, you want to get all the records from the table. That's what we have written here. Yes, we have written here that I want all the records from the table. But how this query is going to be executed? As simple as that. When you select this query and click on F5, you'll get the output. That's good. But what exactly SQL Server engine or any relational database management? Tomorrow I'm working with Oracle. How do Oracle treat this line? I'm working with MySQL. I'm working with PostgreSQL. I'm working with a BigQuery. I'm working with Cassandra. You're working with different relational database management system, but how this query is broken into words. So let's try to see that. First, when this query is executed, it will try to check all those, apart from this four, what I'm saying, what it will do is, first it will try to check from. Okay, it is not checking what is select statement. It is checking from where this guy wanted the data, right? So it will see first execution process starts from one, that is from it will check whether this table database is existing or not. Okay, that is the correct way, right? So first of all, you need to see whether you have the data table or not. Once you have the table, then I'll see what are the columns he's looking for. Once that is also over, then I'll try to see what kind of filtration he wants on the table. So the first and foremost order of execution is, your entry question is from. Let's see, is it from? Now, if the way I've written the order, it's simply the way I'm supposed to write the query. But actually, the order starts from here. That is one. Your from is nothing but one. Okay, I'm just putting the sequence so that we can remember. The first one is from. That is first. When I'm trying to run this query, it is not just looking at the left one, that is select. It is not at all looking at the left one, select. First, it is checking whether this table is existing or not. This is what you call as optimization. That means it will first try to hit the bullseye, that is whether the table is existing or not. Then what is his question? Let me come back. Okay, he's looking for all the columns, all the data. Then it will execute the query. So let me exit quickly. It will get the simply table what we already uploaded without even creating the table. We already got this table because we went through the graphical user interface. We already know how to create a table, so I'm not spending much time on that. Now here, this is simply getting all the data. Let me move on to the next little portion. Here I want all the records with specific columns only. Why we need a specific columns? Why you are not interested in select star, which is simple to write, right? But in real time, this is my simple table. I can use select star, doesn't matter. I'm a single user, moreover, as good as a bachelor. But when you go to a live environment, what happens is there are thousands of people who are trying to access different tables, different databases. Just imagine the kind of pressure the SQL Server is taking. So what happens is, in the real time, nobody actually uses this query, though it is a first line of query which anybody would like to learn. Something like ABCD, the very first line we learn is select star from table only. But this is not an effective way of writing your query. The reason is, though I know this how to write a query, but we're not supposed to use that. Why? Because your database consists of multiple tables, and each table might have millions of data. 1947 to 2021, just imagine how much millions of TBs of data is existing. Maybe your company is maintaining it. So when you use select star from table, it will take a lot of time going this query to server and trying to do all those operations what we talked about, 4 stages. Then getting the output may take longer time. So ideally this is not the best way. So what is the best way? Let's try to see. That is the specific columns. Now I want to write my specific columns, that is student ID. Then I'm looking for just name. Okay, so what happens is, while what is the basic difference between the first query and second query? Here, I'm trying to break it down the number of columns I'm looking for. So that means last query I put 100% effort. Here I'm just putting 50% effort of effort in terms of the pressure which I'm giving to the SQL. So when I run this, obviously you'll see that only 2 columns are now shown on your screen. The reason is you are very particular about what columns you want. Sometimes it is not even 2 columns or 3 columns. Maybe you want another column. So select what we have in the column table. So let me go for the columns. You can check from here, or you can just copy and paste here. Then you can drag and drop here. We can do whatever the easiest way you feel. So I want age. I want even city. Now, there's no surprise if I run the first query, that is, I'll get all the results. Let me run both the queries at once. I want to understand more granular level. Both are giving the same result. If you see, if I'm running 2 queries at times, 2 output windows comes up and giving the same output. Now, what's the fun in writing that way and this way? The second way, what I've written is the most effective way. We are trying to tell the SQL each and everything what I want. Okay, I'm exactly putting rephrasing my words in terms of my communication and communicating with the SQL. I'm trying to get the output. So this is a second best way of writing. It could be a one question. What is the difference here? Okay, the second one, what I've written, I'm more specific what I want. So that is about your adding a specific names in order to get the results. So let's see what is the third query talks about. Here, as I already got the complete data, but sometimes it's not nearly necessary that I want the complete data, right? You want to get data based on some requirement. Based on certain requirement. That means here I can use one clause that is where condition. Okay, is it a where condition? Let's go back. Here we have a select top from where. Okay, it's standing in the fourth position, but let me see while executing where exactly the order will change. So I'm using here where. Okay, where is a clause. It is trying to filter the data. If I go to my Excel, let's try to understand with Excel, because that will give you a better idea what is filter mean. Okay, I have a 5 participants here where I want to check who is from Hyderabad. When I select this, this is the 2 people who are from the Hyderabad, Nilima and Maggie. Okay, they are from Hyderabad. This is how quickly I can do in Excel, right? So whenever you talk about a where, simply try to remember the filter, auto filter, so-called auto filter in Excel. So where or student name or whatever city equal to, I want to put this Hyderabad. Okay, so when I run this, you will end up getting only Hyderabad people here. What happened? Okay. Okay, I'm getting 2 people, that is Nilima and Maggie here. When you look at the Excel sheet also, I have the same people. So I'm trying to do with Excel at the same time SQL to see so that I can easily remember. Okay, we tend to remember with pictures. So this is one picture, what you got, auto filter, and here is the picture. So intentionally, I've given HYD in caps and later lowercase. So does it really matters how the data is entered? I need to enter in the same way. Okay, here we have uppercase and lowercase in the Hyderabad, but SQL is least bothered how we are writing as long as the spelling is correct. But I suggest always go for the way it is, because it's a very good practice. The way it is, for example, Hyderabad, how it was like, okay, we have Hyderabad like this, or else I can copy it, because if you are lazy like me, you can just copy and paste it here. All right. So why I'm trying to be very particular to give the same naming convention with the same style, upper, lower, whatever, I'm just following because there are certain other relational database management system doesn't know this. If it is written in uppercase, we need to provide the value also uppercase. If it is a lowercase, we need to provide the lowercase. But MySQL SQL Server is least bothered. Oracle might be little sensitive. So it's better to practice as a golden rules, so that even if you're working with Oracle tomorrow, you'll not be surprised because you got used to how to give the naming convention. So that's very good. Like we have seen where city equal to operator I used here. We know what is this equal to operator comes under what. So here I'm trying to get a simple requirement based on the conditions. I don't want the complete data. I want only a simple data. Participants along with their age who are staying in Hyderabad. So that's how I simply got the data. So we have seen the basic query, how to get all the records, by specifying the columns. Okay, how to get all the columns, no doubt, but filtering out. I'll simply go back to Excel to understand what is filtering out. I'm using filter, right? You may ask me a question. What if I want to see Hyderabad and Mumbai also? You are asking a next level query. So let me see how to put that, because I know how to use city equal to Hyderabad. But what if I use and, can I use and operator? It's a general English, right? I want that and this also. So we are using and operator. Here I'm using and operator. You can see it's turned into a gray color. And is an operator. We have logical, arithmetic, comparison operators, which I'm slowly trying to add so that you can understand. And when I break it down, you'll try to understand more. For now, let's see. So I don't want to write it. So let me copy this and paste it. Now, instead of Hyderabad, what we have in the next one, Mumbai. You want to see the Mumbai also. So let me go for Mumbai here. Now, does this work? Okay. Using, let me say, using and. All right. Does this work? What you're trying to tell is you want all the records where the city equal to Hyderabad and also city equal to Mumbai. That means you are putting two conditions here. Let me see if I get the result. When I run this, what happened? We don't have the Mumbai city. We don't have a Hyderabad city. We have. So let me not put this one and just see if I have at least Mumbai here. Okay, we have Mumbai, but why it is not coming up? So let me see again, writing in a different style now. Just switching here and there to see my luck, why I'm not getting this one. Oh, I'm not getting. So you're trying to use the same city condition with two cities, and that too you're using a separate you're separating by using an and operator. So always advisable whenever you are trying to pick up the same column with a different values, of course. Here I used Mumbai as a different value, city. Here I used Hyderabad. But if you look at the column is city and here also city. So when it is both cities and you're trying to look at different cities, why to use in this way? So let's see if I have a better solution for this. You cannot say even like this. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's a general scenario, right? Like we'll say city equal to this, comma this. So let's see. It's already prompting you, boss, this is not a proper query. If you place here, if you place a mouse pointer, it's already telling you this comma separator is wrong. So let me run this again. That's it. So you got an error. Now, what is the best way of writing this then? City, then don't use equal to operator anymore, because within the city, you're trying to find multiple city locations. So in that case, you need to use in operator here. Okay, you're going to use in operator and put all this into a parenthesis. Why parenthesis? Let me remove this and run this. Once you use city, I know it is a column name, but what is Mumbai? I'm not understanding. I know it is Mumbai is a city location. So the query is not able to execute because your parsing is trying to check, your validation is trying to check, and it found all the mistakes. So it is not even executing directly. It is terminated by saying something is wrong. It's not understanding Mumbai is a keyword or Mumbai is a value. It's not getting it. So let's put it in a clear way. In that's it. So you're going to club 1 2 3 4 5 10, how many you have, you can put all those city locations. Or tomorrow you want to find age in this particular, or department in, or a country in, or region in, what do you want to put, go for it. This is how you are going to write it, like use one value, then use comma and use another value. I'm using single quotations, the reason being it's a text, as we know. So when I run it, we are getting still Mumbai. We are still getting Mumbai here. What is the problem?
Hyderabad
Why?
spelling.
Yeah. So let me go back. Let me go back here. And this is one way. Let me put the second way here. I want to go switch back to my same old style. City equal to Mumbai and city equal to, all right, so Hyderabad. Now, what is the common difference? Both are going to work or both are not going to work. So if it works, both the queries works, what is the best optimal way of using it? Whenever you try to use this kind of statement, what happens is you're putting a lot of pressure on the SQL. You are telling the same column with some value. Again, you are telling same column with other value. Though you get the result, but this is not the optimal way of writing the query. So slowly we are trying to understand what is the best way of writing the query also. The second line, what is commented already, that is the best way of writing query. So if you click on it, why I'm not getting here again? Sorry guys, we already talked about and, right? So city in Mumbai and Hyderabad, that is why.
Seven, it should be like R operator.
All right, so this is how you are going to use where city in. So let's assume you have some hundreds of cities which you want to find out. Out of some 54 countries, there are only 10 countries which you are looking for. Instead of uh, making your query very complicated, by putting a lot of ands and ors, you can simply use in operator in order to get using in operator. Let's say we'll go with another example. All right, so this is how you are going to get multiple cities or age. If you are using age, we are not supposed to use. All right, so let's go back to our sequence. We talked about a from because that is the first statement which is going to pick up. And what is the second statement is going to pick up? This is your second statement. Okay, this is your second statement. That means whenever it looks at query, how it will understand is it will first check from which table I need to get the data. Then again, it tried to filter out, what to filter. Then it will look at select, is it any specific column do I need to get or all the columns? That's how the order of execution starts. That is from table and what to be filtered. Then it will try to look at the select statement. So select statement comes not at the 3 still, because still it's not looking at the select statement. Had it been my query is only this query, now my order of execution would be from is 1, where is 2, and select is 3. But we have other clauses, so select will still not come into the picture. There are other parameters which you need to understand. So let's go for the next one. What is the next one? We have something called, we have seen what is select, we have seen from. Okay, let's see the top. Okay, top comes very late, but still we'll try to execute and see how it works using a top. Okay, what exactly this top is going to do? Top is a keyword which will try to get the data, how much you want, how much portion of the slice of the big data set you want. As I said, in the real time, we are not going to query by using select star from table. Rather, we need to, yeah. So select, we are not going to use the complete data set. So we want to see the sample check. Why do we need to do a sample check? Because the first time my boss said, can you go to this employee table and do some analysis? So first of all, I don't know how the table looks like. What are the attributes it has? What are the tuples it has? How much data it has? I don't have any information. So don't be in a hurry in just putting the select star from employee table and get the data, put it in Excel. Don't do that. Just try to check the sample check. Sample check in the sense, what kind of column headers it has. Is these columns are really required for my reporting? What are the specific columns I need? This is how you can quickly analyze. Instead of spending 10 minutes, within less than a second, you can get the data by saying something called stop to star. What I'm trying to do here. I'm telling the SQL, can you please just get the first 2 top records for me? I want to do a quick analysis, okay? When I run this, you are going to see the first 2 records. Top doesn't mean here top doesn't mean, please do remember, top doesn't mean who are the top 2 participants in the file list. No. Who are the top 2 employees in my company? No. The first 2 records. What I'm referring is the first 2 records. If I say top 10, I'll be getting all the records because I have only 5 records here. If I say top 3, I'll be getting 3 records here. That's it. So top means the first 3, 2, whatever the number you specify. Top number of records. So what is we are trying to do with this query actually, why we are using the top? Top is really, really important. I use it every day because I don't want to query the entire data set just to see the headers. If I want to see the headers, there's no need to go for the all lines. Just even you can put one and get the data and see the columns what are really required. And that's how you can optimize and put less pressure on your SQL Server. So using top, let me put this, using top, number of records to be displayed. Okay, this is how you're going to do. But is there any other way of doing it? Like want to get a, there are the other way, but for me, I don't think so. It makes sense, but there is an option. Let's see, top percentage. Let me, for me, it's not really making any sense, but let's try to see how it works. Here, I want to say top 50% star. Why I'm writing 50% here? What is my table? My table consists of maybe 5 records. So if I say 40% of that records, can you show me 40% of the records? Okay, 40% is nothing but 2 records. So let me see, can you get me 10% of my records out of my 5 billion, 10 million of data? Okay, 10% is nothing but 1 record. Can I get 80% of the records? So I have 5 records, so we can expect 4 records maybe. Yes, exactly. So that means I'm not interested in the entire data set. This is how you can simply still compress the data while you're retrieving. So we can also use a percentage here. Okay, please do remember when we are using this top, you may encounter with something called limit. You'll also encounter with something called row number. Okay, you'll find the other alternatives for top to be used is limit and row number, but limit will never work in SQL. So let me see if limit works. If I start LIMIT, it is not turning into a blue color. Okay, because this is not relevant to SQL. It is relevant to your MySQL relational database. This works only in Oracle. Please do remember, even if you encounter limit, limit also a top kind of a keyword, but cannot be used in SQL. This is a little bit confusion question to confuse the participant, right? So limit, row number, top. What is the difference? There's no difference at all 3 does the same job, but works in different relational database management system. Top is related to SQL. Limit is used to, we can use MySQL. Row number, you can use Oracle. Limit also talking about like top only, right? Limit 10 records only. Limit 50% of the records. Okay. Row number, get me till 10 rows. Get me rows till 50 numbers. So it's sounding same, and the working style is also same. The only thing is this row number limit will not work in SQL. So as I said, SQL is a standard language. It works everywhere. Yes, still I agree with that. But every vendor has its own kind of functions and keywords also. So when you're getting into some other relational database, we need to be very very clear what you're using. So this is how I used a percentage here, to understand how this piece of a portion of the table when you want to get and make use of it. All right. Let's try to see with a bigger data set how this percentage works, because with the 5 records, maybe you're not able to understand how exactly it works. So for that, let me use EMP, because I want to be in this database and start doing certain operations. So I'm using select star from table, where instead it's taking its own sweet time, because in order to retrieve whatever the number of records. If you see it is trying to execute, though is a single user, it's taking time. Just imagine with 8 GB RAM and 2 gigahertz of processor, still it's taking time just to retrieve how many records. Let's see, it is already taken 16 seconds. So that's why we always say, though it is the first query to learn in SQL, whoever is learning, they will first learn this is the first line, but it's not the optimal way of writing because you need to give the column name. So you can see here 27116. So let me put it in Excel quickly. Let me show you practically how it works. So 27116. These are the number of records what I have right now. All right. So what happens when I say 50%, 60%? So let me put here 50%, 40%, maybe 30%, 20%, 10%. I want to see manually. I don't want to go for the SQL query to tell me what is that. Let me put percentage here. Let me put percentage. I'm sure this is gonna be a practical example how it works. Okay, equals to this number. Let me lock this because it's forever into this. So what is the 50% of this 2,07,000 whatever records? We have 1,035,558 is your 50% records, 40% records, 30 records, 20%, 10%. So this is how quickly I could able to do in Excel. Now let's start comparing with this SQL syntax here. Now this is the total we are getting. Now I want to use select star from this. Here I want to use top. I want to say 50% from. Okay, from is already copied. So let me put this. Okay. So I need to use a star because if you don't use star, you'll not get all the records. So this is 50. This is 40. I'm trying to use all at once so that quickly we can see what is happening. Am I right? Is my Excel is correct in calculating or my SQL is going to calculate the correct one? So let's 20, the final one, 10%. Now my data already I've seen the record size is 27116. When I make it 50%, this is what I'm getting. When I'm making 40, 20, 10, this is what the percentage, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. So let me run all the records. It's going to take its own time, but however, let's run it. You are going to get basically 5 output windows now in order to show the same query. So first one, it's almost on the way. It's going to take like 15 or 16 seconds. The first query should retrieve how many records for me is 13558 should be my count when I look at my right side window at the bottom. Number of rows, number of how much time it has taken to run this, what is the table you are trying to, what is the database you are trying to access, what is your PC name, what is your server name. So these are the simple at the bottom, which is trying to give you an information. On the left side, if you see, it is telling you whether it is done or cancelled or still I'm in the process. Is trying to tell its word to you. That is, query is executed successfully. So how many done? So let's go for, this is the 1. This is the 2. This is the 3. This is the 4. This is the 5. Now let's come to the first one. Obviously, there is no need to look for which table, which output is related to which query. The first one is related to first query, second, third, fourth, and so forth. All right. The first one, if I see 50%, as I said, 13558, which is exactly matching with my data set. Now, what is my second table is talking about? Second table is talking about 1084474. Yes, same only, right? 0.47. The next one, when you look at the 30% model, 813335, 81334, okay, which is correct for nothing but point. Now here I'm looking at a 20%, that is 54224, 54244. Yeah. The next one, the last one, 10% of my entire data set, it is getting 54224. Okay, this is how you can see the entire structure. Now you might have understood what is percentage mean, because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on my system. There are already a lot of people are using. I want a quick report. So this is how you can customize by getting some records. And please do remember, top doesn't mean who are the best employee of my company. No, it is just talking about what are the first 3 top, first 10. That's it. Top generally we always talk about. For example, if you have a table where we have salaries also as one of the column, top 3 employees doesn't mean who is getting the uh, max salary in the company. No, that's not the thing here. Just if you have a 5 records, out of which you are looking for the first 3, it's not mean top 3. The word is used top, but it's not actually top. It is just first 3 records. If you say top 3 means first 3 records. If you say top 10, that means first 10 records only, not top. All right, guys. So when I started using a simple query, you might have observed where is coming from is coming at the first position in terms of order of execution. Where is coming in the second position. If I'm trying to make my query a little more complicated, where I used where city in, okay, then your position would be, your select position would be 3. But still, there's a lot more to talk about the other clauses. We have a top also. Okay, as already we use top, so what happens? This will take the third position. This will take the fourth position. But these positions will keep changing because we have yet to understand what is group by having order by. Okay, this word looks so simple, but has a lot of meaning in it. This will make your life easy. Without using these keywords or clauses, my SQL procedures will not complete. Believe me, guys, every SQL developer has to know all these clauses to write an effective query in order to question your database. Then you should have a proper knowledge there. So the order will change. So that's why I'm not writing the order, but these are at any cost will stand at first and second position only. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Let me just quickly recap this from and where, then we'll go for a group by so that we can follow the structure again. So as I said, let's upload the query. Executing order comes from first, that is from which table you are trying to access. Then the data is retrieved, right? And there, the picture comes of where. Okay, first it's checking the table, then it is trying to check what is the filter this guy wants to do. Even in the Excel also, I do the same thing. First, I look at the table, that means from table. Okay, then you'll try to put the filter. Okay, you're putting filter like city equal to Hyderabad. Then you are getting the final data. That is, you're selecting what columns you want. You will copy and move to a separate sheet. The way humans are doing, even the systems are doing the same thing. Actually, it's no different. But we need to understand the clauses here. So then comes the group by. Let's try to understand group by detail because it's a most frequently asked question. Having said that, like all clauses are important, but at the same time, this is more important, I can say. Let me put this query maybe using group by. Let me not use this. My database is correct. SQL query. Okay, I got the 5 records here. I want to understand group by in detail. Okay, so for that, what should I do is I'll go to my Excel again. I want to understand group by in a simple manner. So there are 2 people who are staying in Hyderabad, and there's a 3 are really different, right? So if I want to create a pivot table out of it, let me create quickly all NVT, which is a shortcut. I'm using name here, and I want to use, let me use a city here, and I want to use age. Okay. If you look at Hyderabad is not repeated. Do I have the Hyderabad twice here? Yes. So I want to just see how many times it is repeated. I'll take a simply count here, say okay. So you can see Hyderabad is repeated twice. Mumbai is 1, Delhi is 1, Pune is 1. So what is this table actually? Why I've created? I'm talking about a SQL. When it comes to Excel, why you're creating a pivot table? To understand group by, I try to go for always pivot table. I try to imagine how the pivot table looks like. Okay, you have a data set of millions of data, but when you create pivot table, it will be hardly 10 or 15 lines. Why? It is trying to summarize whichever is already common in the table. It will be summarized into one. For instance, Hyderabad is repeated twice. Had it been repeated 1,000 times, still it would have shown Hyderabad only once because this is a summarized report what you created from your data set. So if I want to remember group by, Just remember pivot table. That's how you can easily remember. So for this example, let's go for another data set so that we can have more data, maybe 10 records. So for that, let me delete this from here, close this. I'll go for EMP. Then I'm using a task. I'm going for import table. Then I'm selecting Microsoft Excel. Just type Microsoft Excel, then select your file wherever it is. Go, it can go even to your shared drives. Doesn't matter if you're working in office environment. Participation list. I said next. Then I would be selecting everything is fine here. Like I want to go for a EMP, not EMP actually. We are looking for which one? We are looking for SQL query as our own database for today. So once you select next, it's going to ask you which sheet you are looking for. Okay, I'm looking for group by or the data. So here I want to give a proper name. It could be anything as we know. So let's say, okay, this is a new name which I've given for the table, that is student data as a table name. It's a good name, right? So once you say next, it's running the query now. I should be getting ideally 10 records because the Excel is having only 10 records there. That's it. My table is ready. Now let me refresh. If my luck is favoring, I should be seeing this table. No. Oh yeah, you got the table here. So let me not use this table anymore. I want to use the second table. But what this table consists of, because writing query is very easy. My time goes, 70% of my time goes in understanding the data. Because if you don't understand the data, you cannot write a query. You cannot program anything. So for that, you need to understand what are the column headers I have, what values it is holding actually. Is it a very clean data? Is it structured or unstructured? Because whatever the things you want to do it at Excel level or Notepad level or Word, Word document level, PDF level, then come to your SQL. Writing query is very easy. You need to understand the data. So in order to go for next level of queries, I want to see what is this data. This is very simple. By looking at the columns, you can understand student ID, name, we have a gender, salary, city. Okay. So don't take to your hearts. This is only hypothetical salary numbers. Okay. Only hypothetical. Somebody got 4,000, somebody is 8,800. Okay, some random numbers I've taken with a rand. You know that formula, random number. I got this. So overall, what I can see is 10 records with 10 participants. I also know what is the gender, whether male or female. I know their salaries and where they stay. Okay, let's imagine Arvind is staying in London, Nilima is staying in Newark, Srinivas is staying in London. Okay, there are a few people, common people who are staying in London. There are some people who are completely unique. Maybe Newark is also common. Sydney is also would have taken at least one unique. Fine. We already copied. It's no matter now. So we have 10 people, as I said, gender, salary, city. Only 5 columns. Remember, just close it. Now let me try to access my table. Select star from in order to see how the data looks like. No need to write. Just go for it. Just run it. Now you got all the 10 records here with all the information. I've taken intentionally small data set because when you just put the same data in Excel, we can easily validate what query you're writing. Is it the same output what I'm getting? If I have 1000 records also, it will be difficult and time consuming to understand whether the output is correct or not. So I thought it's always better to go to a small table. But when you're talking about a joins or something, subqueries, we'll try to take a big data sets. But still, the logic remains same, right? So here, this is what the table I got. uh, after your first and second, the third position is going to taken by your group by. Already, sorry. So your third position is going to taken taken by your group by. Why group by is playing such an important role and taking the third position? Let's try to see it. As I said, you want to group. Okay, you want to group. Let me take the same example. I'll go to quickly to my Excel. I want to group. Let me create a quick report here. not really in a new sheet. I want to create here itself so that you can get a better idea. All right, so I got my pivot platform is ready. That is canvas is ready. Just I need to draw the picture now. So what I want is basically I want to get a city as a rows. Oh, already you can see here there is a 10 records, but it's showing only 3 records. Why? London is repeated, Newark is repeated, Sydney is repeated. So that's how beautifully the summarize of reports can be achieved through help of your pivot tables. Now, what exactly I want? I want a salary. But by the way, you want to count it, sum it, average it. What are these keywords I'm using? Is it a function? Yes, absolutely. We already know using functions, right? Sum function we have, AVG we have, nothing but average. We have something called count. We have max maybe. We have minimum. These are these functions basically. We have other functions as well. There are thousands of functions I can say. Within the formula, if you see, we have VLOOKUP. Okay, but that you cannot compare with these functions. Why these are special? Because these functions are called as aggregated. Okay, it's aggregating something. What sum is doing, it is trying to combine certain number of few numbers and trying to give the aggregated value for you. Average is also doing the same thing. Count is also doing the same thing. Max is also doing thing. Min is also doing one thing. So why I'm trying to relate these functions with my pivot table? The reason is group by clause is always used on a selected records. Okay, the values or can be a one or more columns. Okay, the way we are using select a few columns or something like that, but it's always used in conjunction with one or more aggregated function. One or more, yeah, it can be a sum, average, count, max, min, or all the 5 aggregated functions you can use. So basically we try to create a pivot table here. We have not yet reached to SQL. Just to create a pivot table where I want to get the total salaries paid by each city. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about in the London, in the London city. Okay, if you try to summarize the salaries, this is what the salaries you are getting. If you see London, we have 4,000 here, 4,500. We have 6,500, 8,800. That's how we get the sum as 27,300. So we are trying to get based on the city, what is the salary paid? But if I add a name into this, what happens? Will you be still see all the unique values here? Let's see. Okay, I have this. I have pasted here. It is not taking because we have. Now I'm trying to add a name at the top. What happens here? So now you can see the Anthony is also staying in London. Arvind is also staying in London. Deepti is staying in Sydney, Newark. So my pivot table a little bit enlarged now because you added a name. Okay. So the London is supposed to be unique, but it is not unique anymore because there are 2 people who are staying in London, right? So when I just say Control Z, you can see this is what exactly the query I'm looking for. That I want an SQL query which gives the total salaries paid by each city. Very interesting question. Let's try to crack it. Now I'll go to SQL. Let me write the query here so that you can total salary paid by city. Very interesting. We'll try to spend some time here because this group by is going to change the face of your SQL queries the way you're writing. So already I could able to see what are the records existing in the table. That is the 10 records with the 5 columns, exactly the raw data what I'm getting on my computer screen right now. So if I want to do further analysis, the way I brought the pivot table here, nothing but I summarized by getting the total salaries by city. So how do I do this actually? Do you want all the columns? Maybe you want all the columns. So let's see how to write a query itself here. Here, I want first what? If you look at my screen again, I want the city. Okay, let me blindly write the query here. I want the city. Uh, I want to execute till here first. I want to see if it's really working. Yes. Now, what do you want to do? All London should be at one place, all Newark should be one place, Sydney should be one place, right? But it's not happening because you have used what knowledge you have from the previous queries, what you learned. But now we are trying to use the aggregated functions. As I said, aggregated functions are sum, average, count, min, max. These are aggregating your data. Okay. VLOOKUP is getting extracting a number. Match is trying to match. Index is trying to index the data. every formula has its importance, but if you look at the aggregated functions, they are aggregating. The word itself is indicating aggregating the data. So when I use select, I got fantastic, I got the data, but let me see, I want salary here. Let's try to spend some time because this is going to play a very, very important role. Is it salary? What is the column name here? Okay, it's a salary. So when I try to run this, I got all the salaries, but still it's not making any sense for me because I want to sum it, right? So how to use sum function in my Excel? Let me refresh my basic Excel skills. Alt equal to, alt equal to. This is the only one shortcut available to create your formula just like that. Just use alt equal to get the sum just like that without writing it. Okay, this is only one shortcut. For we have 400 plus functions, but this is the only function which works with a shortcut. Rest all you need to write it manually, as you are aware. Once you say okay, we are getting some number here, 50, 400, whatever. So what it is trying to do, it is trying to aggregate all these values as a sum. What if I use, if I say count, what it is going to do here? Okay, count is nothing but 10. Okay, good. So in the same way, when we are trying to get, can I use a sum here, or can I use count on this gender? Let's see. It's not working. Aggregation cannot be possible on the string. That is what I understood. So let me go for the count here again. Can I use count here? Count of this. Okay, it's working. So what does it mean? Aggregated function works on what? On numbers, not on the text. That is what it's proven here now. So always remember all these functions, what you talk about, sum, average, count, max,
Hello.
min,
Yeah, Shravan, one question here.
assume. This is what I'm trying to get my style of output, because I want summarized report. I don't want the complete raw data to throw on my boss face. I want to simply modified one. What is the total salary paid by city? Okay, simple one, but I'm going to learn a lot of things while writing the query. So I said select. So what I'm trying to do here is what I was trying to show here is sum. Then we use some parameter here, right? What is the parameter? Your cell reference. But here when it comes to a SQL, no wonder it's the same. But here why we are using something called A1 colon A10, because your Excel is based on cells, right? Rows, columns, cells. So you need to refer that cell. If 4,000, 3,000 you want to combine, then I need to refer D2, D3, D4, something like that, right? But in SQL, no cell magic, nothing. We need to use entirely some function before that column. Okay, still making sense for me. Let me run and see, will it give them a result? Okay, got it. Salary is being a number format column or integer. Okay, number, integer. Number is basically used in Oracle, guys. Just for your information, integer is something which is being used. Int is basically used in SQL Server. Integer is used in VBA. When it comes to Oracle, it is called as a number. Number is a data type. Here we have int. So I got the 50,400, which I got. But what is my objective here? I want to get what? What you are trying to get? I want to get the city also. Let me see. Now the question is, does it really make any sense the way I'm writing the query? I wanted sum of salary. Okay, got it. I want city also, one of the column here. But which city? You are going to see for sure the error. Because even if you look at this query, what I've written, it is stupid way of asking a question to the SQL. Can you give me the city name and the salary? Of course, you want to achieve this one, but still we have not done. The reason is you are saying city and you want the sum of the salary. It's not, it's throwing an error because it's not aggregated. This city column is not aggregated. So how we are going to do that? For that, we need to use a group by clause. Let me see. And one more thing, I'm just introducing now itself that keyword which I'm not supposed to. When it comes to joins, it's better. But let me see a new keyword which I'm going to use, which most of you guys already know, but it's okay. If you look at the total, at the top, you can see number of columns name. What is that? I want to give a proper name of the column. It's not giving the column name, right? It is a sum. So can I use my own user defined name? Yes, by using as is a keyword, 2-letter word. Okay, as is a keyword which will give an alias name. Alias name. My name is Rihan, but I'm called as Ronnie. Ronnie is a pet name, right? Bihan, that's a name. Monty is a pet name. So easy accessible name, short name, quickly we can access that. Because what you see in the real environment, the table names are almost like 200 characters sometimes. So how easily I can communicate with the tables? By giving an alias name. Alias is nothing but giving a short name so that we can easily remember, we can easily quote. As I said here, I want to say, maybe I want to say total salary. Okay, let me do a mistake here. Total salary. Does it make any sense? No, it is giving an error because this is not a proper naming convention. We need to use in the parentheses. What the reason? Because it will treat total as one, salary as one keyword. So let's not do that. If you want to avoid using brackets, if you don't like it, just make it as a single word, which is always good. So total salary. What is total salary? By writing total salary, it's not becoming a total salary here. Total salary is nothing but a header which I want. Or else let me say simply TS, nothing but total salary, and run it. You'll see the alias name is given to your column now. TS is column name. For the display purpose, you can give the alias name. To shorten your table names, you can give the alias. The alias importance at this moment is not much. When you look at joining, you'll be surprised to see that you'll frequently use as a keyword. At this moment, just remember, okay, to give a name of the column, we can use it. So can I use, let me, before go for a group by, let me do some more things. I want, anyway, I got the sum of salaries. What happened? Okay, all right. So select some of the salary. Can I get average salary? Let's say average. It's not AVERAGE. It is AVG. All right. So once I say salary, now what happens here? Am I trying to bring two columns here? Excellent. Now let me see. Can I get the count of salaries? Which makes no sense. But let's try to see all the aggregated functions at once. Let me run this. Okay, excellent. So I have this, let me put this so that you can differentiate what I mean. All right. All right, more hygiene way of writing your query so that it can be easily read. Okay, the last column, obviously I'm not given the separator because not supposed to give. So let me go for the next one. That is min of the salary. What is the minimum salary and who is getting, let's see. Run it. Okay, I got 2,800. Somebody who's getting minimum salary there. And who is getting the maximum salary? Okay, comma is not supposed to use. When you run it, we got all. But anybody lame person can understand this one language, what I've written here. Okay, I'm not talking about a query. I'm looking at the output window. It's very interesting. I got 50, 400, 50, 40, 10, 2,800. It looks numbers very good. It's called as a data, right? But it can be become information when it is properly processed. How it can be become information? When you give a proper column names. How to give a proper column names? Let's say as total salary. I'm using keywords, guys, here. As is a keyword, I'm using alias name. This is called as alias. Alias is nothing but a pet name kind of thing which you are trying to give. Okay, AVG salary. Okay, you can give anything here as long as the name is a proper count salary as min salary as max salary. That's it. Now when I run it, now it becomes a real information. Earlier it was just data for me. 10 I can understand. Is it a size? It is a age. Is it a salary? Is it your tenure? I don't know what that 10 stands for. Now I'm very clear what is 10 stands for. 10 is a count of salary. Okay. 50, 40 is average salary. So guys, I'm just trying to manipulate the data to make it a proper information by giving the column name. So as is a keyword which you can use in order to make your any aggregated functions to give the name. Because if you don't give the as, and whenever you're trying to use aggregated, these rules are really, really important when you're writing a complex queries. Whenever trying to use aggregated functions, it will not give the column name. So either you give the same column name as a salary, you can say salary only here. Okay. You can give the same, or else you can give the user defined name, which can make really sense for the layman who can understand. Okay, that's how we have just finished using all. Let me not say using. Okay, I'm not using clause here. It's not it. So here I'm going to use the new table which I just brought in, that is a student's data. That's my table name is going to be now. So let me put it here. So for our reference, what table I'm using here? Table. Okay, table used, because I was using at the top some other table, but now I'm using. Okay, this is the table what I used previously, just to have more rows so that we can really see the effect of grouping, having, order. That's a small table, so maybe you'll not see the difference. The way we have not seen the real impact of 10%, 20%, only when you have seen the big data, then we understood. So that's what I felt. Let me have a big one with 10 rows of data to understand this better. So before we actually go into the query, I don't want to write thousands of query here. I want to understand the real magic of using these clauses so that you can really face any business challenge in your real world. Because the example I've taken here is simply serial number, name, age, salary. But in the real time, you're not going to find these kind of tables. The problem statement would be different. The table would be different. But if you know the SQL as a SQL, understanding the logic behind it, you will be in a position to face any business challenge. This table you'll not find anywhere. This is my own table I created myself. But in the real time, you'll find if you're working in payments, payments table. If you're working in mortgages, mortgage table. If you're working in finance, finance table. It has a different column headers. Now, as a developer, what should be your mindset? To understand the problem statement so that quickly you can get the solution. That is what I'm trying to bring that mindset here. All right, let's see what is a group by here. Using group by. So what is group by in simple? That is nothing but pivoting the table, right? Okay, we have a large data set here that is 10 rows, but I made it to 3 rows. Why? It is a summarized version of this raw data into a pivot table. Now the same thing when you want to bring in your SQL also, because it could be a question, can you get the total sum of salary paid by city? Okay, in each city, I want the total salary. So let me get that. If I want to use that, I need to use, I should know what is a group by. So let us talk about group by. Group by is a clause which is used to group a selected rows. So whatever the rows we have, we are trying to select those and we are trying to summarize it. It could be one column or more column, doesn't matter, because here we can see I use 2 columns. Tomorrow 200 columns does the same operation. So it is always used in the conjunction of your aggregated functions. Why I'm so confident that group by always follows with some function. What is that function? Aggregated function. What are those functions? We have sum, we have count, we have min, we have max, and what else? Average. Yeah, these are the functions. So even if you look at a simple pivot table, we are already doing the pivot table since long time, right? So I put city in the rows and I put salary in the values. Just by putting the values in the putting the salary, which is a number format, you cannot put the text, right? Still you can put, but we can go for a count, but not the sum. Here, what I'm trying to bring here, I'm trying to make salary sum. So what is that I used here? Sum. Without my knowledge, already I use the aggregated function. I can still change. I want average of it. So simply make it average. Now the average salary this is. No, I want sum. So let me make it as a sum. So that means number which you want to summarize only with aggregated functions, and your group by, okay, it's already there. Okay, your group by always works on aggregated functions only. So there is no question why, because already you have seen the pivot table. Here I'm trying to summarize. The value is always being used on the aggregated. Now let's come back to SQL and try to understand the same structure. So as I said, group by always works on selected rows or columns. You can use one column or more than one column, doesn't matter. I used here only a sum. You can use average also. Let's see one more thing. I want to put in the same table salary as a count, maybe. I want to use a summary again. I want to use salary again as an average. So what does it mean? What I'm trying to do with the pivot table here? I just proving the point. You can use as many as columns you want in order to summarize your data by using aggregated functions, right? So let's go for a SQL now. let's let's try to understand the query. Let me write the query also so that you can understand. The query here is you want to get total salary paid by city. So that's how we wanted. That's what it is showing right now here. Let me take a simple example first. We'll go little complicated later because I want to understand how the group by works. So for that, I'm using this select star from table. So let me use select star from the table. When I run it, I'm getting all the 10 records. Fantastic. So it's working very fast because only 10 records, only one person is working on this. Now, what you want to do here? You want to use a salary. Okay, when I'm running this, I got the total salary. But if you want to sum it, I can use sum and close it, the parentheses, because that's what I know from the Excel. If you want to sum something, you need to use sum function, okay, and open and closing parentheses. It's not only aggregated functions, even VLOOKUP, when you open, we need to open and close it, right? There is always a parenthesis in which rest of the parameters. First one is lookup value, a table array, then column index, then close the matter. So that means you need to satisfy all the parameters there. So sum here taking a one parameter called salary. So let me try to run this. Fantastic. I got 5,400. That is the total participants who have salary is total. When I sum it, I'm getting this. So let me use by city. I want to get it. Again, it's a stupid question when we are trying to summarize. Okay, this looks very similar, the query what I've written, the way we are speaking. I want the sum the salary by city. That is what I'm trying to do. But your SQL will never understand you. The reason is when you are trying to use aggregated function on that, it's already 10 participant salaries clubbed to one particular cell that is giving the total sum. In the same way, when you are trying to ask too much to your database that you also wanted city, it will not understand. That's how you're going to get the error. Now, what is the solution here? As I just understood, we have to use the aggregated function. Whenever you use aggregated function, we need to use a group by so that we can group by with city, gender, whatever the columns we have. So let me see how we can use. I used a important words. The statement first one is select. I used a from also. What is missing? I can use where, but I'm trying to understand or group by. We'll try to mix up all these clauses at the end of the session, but let's try to see each individual now. Group by, is it a single word? Let me see. No, it's not a single word. Now, when I try to give a space here, it's coming in a blue. That means this is a single word, group by. Though it shows group space by, it is a single word. So group by, what you want to do? You want to use city. I repeat, if you don't use this word, what happens is you'll tend to get an error because you are trying to sum up the salary and also you want to show the city, but city is not coming under the aggregated. So you need to use group by year. So here for salary, let me give a short name here so that I can, if I run it, I'll get the total salary, but you'll not get the header. Okay, let me see without header. Now, what happens now? I'm very interested to see, will it give that result what I'm looking for? Summarized version. Oh, excellent. London, New York, and Sydney. London, New York, and Sydney. So that's what we got. Exactly the same style what we got. But if you look at the top, we don't have a name column. So what happens when I use as? I want to say total salary. Okay. Let me run this now. You are also getting the header because end user will not understand these numbers. This is simply a raw data and it can become meaningful information only when it has a proper heading. So that's how I brought the total salary here. Nothing wrong. You can give anything here for that matter. You can use underscore as I said. There's nothing wrong. Whatever you want, you can go for it because we are very well clear with the golden rules to be followed. Whenever you talk about a database name, table names, column names, right? So that's quite simple. Now I got exactly what I wanted. Now what next? But as I said, like if you omit the group by clause and try to execute this, you are got the error. That's what we have seen. Let's see once again, because this is something bothering me. What happens when I am using city and summer salary? Why I'm not getting the result? Because that city is not under the aggregated function, and city is what? A text, and text can never be used in the aggregated functions. Okay, so that's why I used a group by. So once I use a group by, when I run it, I got exactly what I'm looking for. Recording order. As you have seen the output, like it's trying to group by city and the sum of the total salary. What if I want the same one with a different style? So let's see. This time your query might be, now I want a SQL query which gives total salary by city, by gender, which we already seen, but let's see with this table. And what do you want? Gender. Now let me copy the same query and paste it here and use gender also. I use gender. Now, when I run this, you can expect an error. Why? The reason being, you used aggregated function on the salary. Fantastic. That's the rule, because on the number, you can always use the aggregated functions. But what do you want to group by? Group by is what? Come to the Excel again. Group by is what? You are trying to summarize the city. You are summarizing your name. You are trying to summarize your gender basis, right? So in that case, we need to use all those columns. Guys, this is a very important note. All the columns which you used in the select statement should be the part of your group by, else it will never work. This is what the error you're going to see. Let me just put this way again. I'll copy the same one. I'll see what is correct and what is not correct. I'm using all the columns here, whatever the columns I have in this group by. If you try to notice, the basic difference here is in this section, I have two columns, and third column being number, it is already aggregated. And I want to group by city. And here I'm using the same concept, no logic, but in the group by, I'm trying to use two names, two column names, which are mentioned in my select case. So let me run both the queries at once, which will give me the right result. Okay, so let me run this first. And let me run this one. Why the first one is giving error? Why the second one is running? Now you need to identify the key difference here. If you know this logic, you can build complex query without any hesitation, facing any business challenge. Though it looks a very simple query, but you need to understand the logic. Again, I repeat, the first one is giving error. The second one is also same query with additional information. When I run this, I'm getting the information here. So Sydney, it's repeated twice because it's supposed to be repeated only once. New York is repeated twice because I'm supposed to repeat only once. When it is summarizing the number, it is trying to look for which city. When it is seeing for the city whose male gender, because there is a location called London where there are two people sitting in London. One male who is Arvind, one is Anthony, one is Srinivas. These three people gender is male and sitting in London. And we have Uday, we have Rashika also in London. So it's showing only once London for male, the sum of the salary, female who are, but this, we do not have any female who's sitting in London. If you see closely, this is London, this is London, this is London, this is London. So whoever is staying in London, all are male. There's no female here. So obviously we got only one male and showing us London and the total sum. Now let's go back to the New York. In the New York, we have female. In the New York, we have male. We have female. So this female who is Kavita and here Nilima, they're from the same gender. So it will be clubbed together. And one person who is the exception here, that is we have Frank, who is a male from the same city again. So that means when I'm summarizing, I would be getting gender, that is male and female. I got male and female from the New York City and they clubbed. So that's how it is clubbed. So if you look at London, though there are 5 people staying in London, it's not showing 5 times. It's showing only 1 time because their gender is only one gender, that is male. We don't have 2 genders there, male and female. No, it's only one gender. Now the next one, using tables, I'm using the same. Let me use a having clause. What query? We'll try to build our own query now. But before that, let me go back to my data set which I created. Select is coming, top is coming, from is staying in a first. This is second, this is third, and this can be a fourth. Let's see. Okay, I'm not talking about the topic wise, I'm talking about the execution process wise. Okay, the first position is taken by from. Always it will look for the which table. Second, it will try to see what to filter. Third, it will try to see what to group by. After that, having. Okay, we don't know what is having mean here. Having is just like a where condition. All right. Let me go for my Excel again. Now I want to filter having gender as a male. Okay, what does it mean? It's little confusion. Where gender equal to male makes sense. Having gender is male. So both are same in terms of working procedure, but what comes first, what comes next, that's what we need to understand. Okay, I'll try to give more information how this having is different from where, because most frequently asked question, because they sound same, having where city name equal to Hyderabad, having city Hyderabad, both are same actually. I'm going to give the same result. Let's see. So here, let's try to build up some kind of a simple type of a query so that we can understand having better. So if you want to retrieve, okay, the way we have retrieved for the total salaries by cities, by gender, by name, whatever. Okay, let's try to filter this entire data set by using a having clause. Then why you are not using where condition? So let me see what is the difference here. So I'll copy this one. I'll paste it here using having clause and where clause. Let's try to use both and see using. I might be getting it wrong. Yeah, having and where. So here I'm trying to remove this. Okay, I don't require this. I don't require this. I don't require this. So what this guy is doing here, when I try to run this, I'm getting complete results. Very good. But if I use where condition, which we already know, where city equal to London, let's say that this is your where condition. Now what you're talking about, you said having also same case. Can we have an example? Let's see. I'll copy here, I'll paste it here. Instead of using a where, now let's try to use having. Okay. I said where having same, I've written in the same style, but somehow I feel this is going to give an error. I'll tell you the reason. Once you get an error, it is an invalid clause. Why it is invalid clause? It's one of the important clause actually. So whenever using having, never try to use equals to symbol there. Is that true? Let's see. Okay, it's still not understanding. Having always takes, okay, you need to understand here, having always takes, sorry, we can use actually, sorry, city equal to London. We are using these two, let's see, star here, having city equal to, having city equal to. You're so used to using equals to actually group by.